Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're back at the RV storage unit getting things ready for spring, and I've got some help. In my right hand I have a 1/2 inch impact wrench, and in my left hand I have a 1/4 inch impact driver. They serve different purposes, but they can get you out of some important jams or keep you safe along the way. I'm gonna give you 3 good reasons to carry these with you. So make sure you stick around and find out why you should be traveling with a few of these. A big shout out to Litheli for providing these drill drivers for the video and sponsoring this video, but I'll tell you a little bit more about them later. All right, so let's jump into what's probably the most obvious way that one of these can save your butt out on the road: tire and wheel safety. Who hasn't run over a nail out there? Who hasn't gone through a parking lot where there's been debris and picked something up only to find out that they don't have a slow leak, they have an actual flat and need to change it either on the roadside or in a parking lot? This is really prevalent for RV owners because I know my family and I often go behind Walmarts and Tractor Supplies and big giant stores to find places to park if we're running to a restaurant or need to pick something up or maybe grabbing some groceries, and you end up parking in places that aren't really high traffic. Therefore, there's some debris on the road that hasn't been picked up by others' tires or cleaned off. So that is exactly why I travel with a 1/2 inch impact wrench like this one everywhere I go, because I don't want to be stuck on the side of the road spinning the factory lug nut wrench just, wildly like this, trying to get everything done. I want to be able to zip it on, zip it off with this. I've got a spare on the back of my RV, and this will make light work of everything you need to do if you have a flat tire. Now, the other side of this component, or the other side of this idea, is that you need to travel with some sockets. So I've got a simple 1/2 inch socket set, and I'm going to leave links for everything I talk about in today's video down in the description below. But I got these on Amazon. Pretty simple 1/2 inch socket set, and I've gone through before I ever left on a trip, and I labeled these so I would know. You'll see right here, I've got a label for the truck, so I know that this is my truck socket, which I could check on the road, but it's easier knowing which one it is. And right here, I've got a label for the RV. If I have a problem or a flat, is come in here, grab my 19 millimeter, throw it in my 1/2 inch wrench, and I'm right here on my tire. Now, just to show you how powerful this specific drill is, the impact wrench needs to be powerful enough to pull these lugs off as they've been sitting there being used, have gunk on them and everything else. So you need to make sure you have the right power. And this Litheli driver has a 20 volt brushless motor. It's got enough power to get the job done. So let's take a few off and show you just how powerful it is. Okay, so on this drill, I've got selectable power. I've got the power all the way up to level number 3. There you have it. Took that lug right off, no problem. Now we're going to tighten it back on. We'll take this one, knock it off too. There we go. That lug is off. Tighten it back on. And one more quick note about reapplying your lug nuts to the wheels. I would only do it like I just did in the video in an emergency situation where you need to get off the road. Otherwise, I would snub things up with your impact wrench and then finish it with a torque wrench, so you know exactly how many foot-pounds of torque you're putting on these nuts to make sure you're not over-tightening or under-tightening, and that'll keep you safe out there on the road. And one other bonus reason that I keep an impact wrench with me on every single trip is because once when I was in Moab, Utah, I discovered that these bolts on my hitch were backing themselves out. Even though they had lock washers on the other side, they were backing themselves out and coming loose. And you don't want to be 1,300 miles from home and discover that your hitch is starting to wiggle apart. A lot of hooking and unhooking can cause that. I've even seen the balls on hitches come loose. So you need some special wrenches and some really large sockets to take care of them, but it's really good to have an impact wrench with you in case you need to snub something up on your hitch, because it does happen and things can come loose. And that is why I will not travel without an impact wrench from here to the end of eternity, because if I get in a jam, this is going to save my butt and really make it easy to change a tire on the side of the road if I absolutely have to. Okay, now let's talk about something that every single RVer does as soon as they get to their campsite. Put down their stabilizer jacks. Now, most RVs come with stabilizer jacks on all four corners. We have a pretty small RV, and yet we still have these scissor jacks. This is a 19-foot Ember, and almost every RV comes with a wrench that looks like this to put these up and down. I can tell you from experience, even on a short journey, this is a really annoying tool to use. And all you do is simply place it on the end and hand crank. Ugh, takes forever. No, we're still not there. No, not there yet. So instead of getting soaked in sweat doing this on all four corners of my RV manually with this tool, I've decided to opt for the easy version. That's why I travel with a 1/4-inch impact drill. Now, you could do this with a regular screw gun. This same bit would fit in there, but the impact drill just makes it a lot easier. This is simply something else I picked up on Amazon. This one's 19 millimeters. I don't know that that's universal for every scissor lift or stabilizer jack, but I think these are pretty close to the same for every single RV. In fact, I've used this socket on several different RVs and had no trouble. So it simply goes into this 1/4-inch impact just by sliding in there to the 1/4-inch socket, locks in there, and using forward and reverse, I can go up and down on this scissor lift in just a matter of minutes. So I've got this on number 2, power number 2, and you'll see how quickly it goes up and down just easily with this. All the way down. And you want to make sure when you're using an impact wrench like this, or rather an impact driver, you don't want this jack to be lifting the RV, and that's the danger in using a drill like this. If you lift up your RV, you can actually damage, catastrophically damage these jacks. I've seen them lay over because they're picking up the whole weight of the RV. It's just simply meant to set there so that it doesn't move around when you're walking around inside. So you want it to be tight, you don't want it to be lifting. And we set ours on these Anderson jack stands. It just makes sure we don't have to go down all the way, makes less work of it. So easy down, easy up. And that is why I carry a 1/4-inch drill driver with me on every single RV trip. And the final reason I'll mention that it's worth carrying drill drivers with you when you travel is keeping your awning secure. Now, if you're a fan of these guys like I am, these big orange screws, you know they can do a lot of stuff, but you never want to leave an awning out when you're gone, but maybe you just have a little bit of wind and you don't want your awning flopping around. You can run a stake into the ground like one of these and tie a little rope to the end and make sure that it doesn't flop around on you. And they have this handy adapter here. So I carry a bunch of orange screws, and this adapter just goes right in and allows me to, with a 3/8-inch socket on my impact wrench, connect in here and drive these into the ground so I can secure just about anything from an awning to a table or even a tarp if I wanted to. It's always nice to have some stakes and a way to put them in the ground. All right, let's get out of the storage unit and take a closer look at these drill drivers because I think these are great options for RVers and campers, and they happen to be made by today's video sponsor, Litheli. All right, so now that we've established why it would be important to keep drill drivers like this with you on the road, let me talk about these specific drill drivers. These are from a company called Litheli. And no, they're not the first company you're going to think of when you think power tools. You're going to think of the big names, the yellow, the red, the green, the blue, whatever color you're into. You're going to think of those big name brands. But there's an advantage that these Litheli drivers have that those others don't, and that is that they've adopted a portable battery system that is much more convenient and conducive to travel. Meaning they all charge via modular USB-C battery packs that don't require any other weird adapter. So I'm a yellow power tool user, you get my drift, and I have to carry one of those yellow power adapters with me wherever I go. So it's an extra thing that I have to carry, but I'm already gonna have a USB-C cord with me, and these batteries require nothing else other than a USB-C cord to charge. So they're high capacity batteries. This is 10,000 milliamp hours. It's 2 amps, 20 volts, so it's on par with what the other big guys are offering. And these things do have the power to do the job. It's just the name on the tool that's different. And because these are USB-C, I find these highly attractive. Not to mention, if you're like me and you have other Litheli products, these batteries are going to be swappable between other things. So I've got the frozen backpack refrigerator. Stick this on. If you have a power wagon, you can stick it on. Any other Litheli power products, you're going to be able to use these same batteries. And that way, when you're traveling, you can travel lighter. And we all know how valuable it is to be light and nimble when you're traveling. And the final piece of this battery puzzle is that these batteries are inexpensive to replace. In fact, even at full regular price, they're a fraction of the cost of what my yellow batteries cost for my other power tools, which means you can carry more of these with you, have backups, or just get fresh batteries if these start to wane and wear out, which all batteries eventually do after years of use. Now these come in a few different sizes. This is a 2 amp hour. I think this one's a 2.5 amp hour battery because this is a little more power hungry of a drill. But these are 20 volt power, so the same power you're gonna see out of almost every other power tool out there. And they're both brushless motors, which means they're gonna be quiet and efficient running. This is a 1/4 inch impact drill, and this is a 1/2 inch impact wrench. So you saw I had 1/2 inch sockets when we were testing them on lugs. This is a really common size, and if you have a nice set of bits with you, it really does make a difference. They each have multiple power modes. The impact wrench has 1, 2, 3 selectable driver modes. If you pull the trigger, you're gonna get a light here. So even if you're on the side of the road in the dark, you can get a light to see your lug nuts. It'll stay on after you pull the trigger for a little while, and then you can hit the power button here to change your power settings, 1, 2, and 3. Most people keep it all the way up, but if you don't need it all the way up, you can turn it down. Hey, real quick, I've left links in the description below to both of these Litheli drill drivers if you're interested in picking up one for yourself. Now let's talk quality of the build. I have been impressed with the finish and design on these. The one thing that I think could be a little bit better is just because of the design of the battery, the way that these stick in here, sometimes you have to stick it in and then give it another push. See, I pushed it in there and it didn't quite lock. I have to maybe push it in a couple times to get that battery to lock. That's a little annoyance, but not a huge annoyance. It does come unseated, and when it's in there, stays put, but you have to give it a firm push or tap, I would say. If you just push it in, there's a chance it might not lock. The other thing that I don't love is that the bottom is not completely flat. So when you set it down, because of the way the battery loads in here, it has a tendency to, it could, wobble a little bit. Whereas the other power tools I have a completely flat bottom. They set a lot more sturdily on their tops. Now these aren't, like wobbling all over the place, but there is a little bit of a concaveness to the bottom of this design, and the way the battery goes in there just gives it an extra opportunity to possibly fall over. Not a huge thing, since I don't rely on my tools sitting like this that often. Most of the time I'm setting them down like this in case they fall, and they're certainly not traveling in an upright position. And after a couple weeks of testing these things in various different applications, I can honestly say they perform as well as my yellow power tools on basic tasks. The only thing that I've noticed that's a little different is the lag on the trigger. There's a slight lag on this trigger when you pull all the way back. All of a sudden, it's about a 1/2 second lag that's not there on my yellow power tools. But other than that, there's really no difference. They're built with many of the same high quality components that you would expect in other power tool brands, and I think that makes them a great candidate, especially considering you can use these batteries everywhere, and the price on these is lower than you might find on other power tools without needing to buy an entire set or combo to get a better price. Hey, thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you found that helpful, and hopefully it'll help keep you safe as you're out there traveling. If you're interested in picking up either one of the drills that I talked about in today's video, you can check the link in the description below. And as always, using those links to purchase does help to support the channel. So my name is Joel, this is the Traveler Toolkit, and I'll see you in the next video.